So, Greg was given a review code for 80s Overdrive, and he said he didn't want it anymore, and he gave it to me. So, I downloaded 80s Overdrive, and well done, Greg.
Dodged a bullet.
Dodged a bullet. No, it's not that bad, actually. It's basically an Outrun clone. I've played it for about an hour, so it's just first impressions I'm giving here. Outrun's much better. The sense of speed in this game, especially in the beginning, like I can see my vehicle can be upgraded quite substantially, but the sense of speed is just non-existent. Like I remember Greg was talking about 1980X, and there was an Outrun section. Playing this, I can imagine now what that must have been like. That section must have been like in 1980X, because it is very slow. The graphics are quite nice, though. The only problem is there's slowdown, which you really wouldn't expect. But so for the most part, the game runs very beautifully, smooth 60 frames per second. But there's a couple of levels where you go through a forest, and obviously there's lots of trees on the left and the right, and it just tanks the frame rate. And I just don't understand why, because it's a 16-bit game essentially. So that's a bit weird. The controls are not great. Like, it's digital input for the steering, so it's actually much easier with the D-pad than it is with the analog stick. But still, it doesn't feel they're very responsive, and I always find myself making minor adjustments, which is annoying because it's hard to get perfect, like, what you want. Like, for example, Horizon Chase Turbo, fantastic controls, runs really well, and this it feels weak in comparison to that. It doesn't feel as good as Horizon Chase Turbo does. Being an Outrun clone, there's like a story mode, a career mode, where you choose the race and you do like a 2, 3, 4 minute race, and then move on to the next one, and you have to pay to enter the race, and you get prize money for coming in the top positions. You have to pay to upgrade your car, obviously, so you can use your winnings to upgrade your car, but at the same time, you have to pay to repair damage and buy more fuel for the next race. So you have to keep generating enough money to pay off your damage and your fuel, and then as well upgrade your car. So if you enter 5 races and you only finish 5th, 4th, 6th, then you're going to run out of money, basically. I haven't done that yet, thankfully. But it doesn't feel like a good, Outrun did it better, Virtua Racer did it better, and I mean they're old games now. They're the beginning of the 90s, and this just doesn't stack up against those games, which is quite disappointing.
Those old games, they through the way they ran, they looked fast. They felt fast when you were driving.
They did, yeah.
And Horizon Chase Turbo keeps that sense of speed.
It did, yeah.
And if the sense of speed is missing,
I mean, Horizon Chase Turbo is definitely going for something different. It's much more Top Gear than it is Outrun.
Yeah.
But it does it really well because it brings it into the modern era and keeps what was good about the classic game. Whereas this just feels like it's trying to copy, but it doesn't do anything better or anything really new. Which, well, why don't you just play Outrun then? Do you know what I mean? That's kind of how I feel playing it. I will say, though, that the music is very nice. They've got some really nice sort of 80s tracks. And at the beginning of the race, you choose, on Outrun, where you have to tune your stereo to the track you want to listen to, which is quite cool. But the one thing that's really frustrating me and stopping me actually from playing it more is when you crash, you stop dead. And it's just so frustrating. And because the controls aren't great, you'll clip a car, slightly clip a car, and you just go from 350 kilometers to 0. And then everyone flies past you. You've got absolutely no chance of winning the race. So basically, to win, you have to have a perfect race, or you just can't, because crashing stops you so much. And it's very frustrating having to stop and start all the time because you narrowly tagged a car and you were trying to avoid it, but because the controls aren't that responsive. There's police in the game as well, which is quite interesting. So you'll see the lights flashing behind you and you've got 5 seconds to move out the way, and then the police come flying past, and if you don't move, they'll hit you, and then you
down to zero,
and then you have like 5 seconds to get back up to speed, and if you don't, you get arrested, and the race is over. So it's quite an interesting mechanic.
You get arrested for not speeding.
It's quite an interesting mechanic. But yeah, just unfortunately, it just feels quite cheap. It doesn't run that great, as I said, in some places, and what it's trying to do, it doesn't stack up at all compared to the classics. But I'm reviewing the game, so I'm going to play it through to the end, and I do hope that as I progress through the career, that the sense of speed comes, basically, that it becomes faster, and that the levels get a little bit more interesting, because you can take every corner at full speed. The only thing you have to do is avoid traffic. So
slow moving traffic. I hope it does pick up. This did look good.
Yeah, at the minute I wouldn't recommend it, but we'll see how it goes.
It does sound a bit disappointing, because like it had got pretty decent feedback from like the 3DS version. I thought like this was pretty decent. And you compared it to 1980X there, and like that is probably one of the reasons why I didn't take up the review code in the end, because that section was pretty bad in 1980X, and when I watched videos of 80s Overdrive on YouTube, it looked really slow as well. I thought, I'm just not the man for this here. So yeah, it's a shame.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a like if you've enjoyed our content. You can also check out our other great content on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the N-E Café podcast from all good podcast providers. Just follow the links in the description below.